Everybody, we're going to start with a brief opening statement from Coach. After that, we'll take questions. Just raise your hand, we'll come around.
Really excited about obviously the outcome of the game last week. I thought the young men played a fantastic job, played a fantastic game. It was as physical as we thought it was going to be, I think, on both sides. I won't be talking about injuries in this thing at all, so you can go ahead and throw it out there, but I'm going to take that pitch, and we're going to keep moving on to the next question. We're playing a fine, Clemson team. Coach Dabo, Coach Sweeney does a fantastic job. There's no doubt about it. Some of the finest athletes in the conference and in the country. And not only do they have fantastic individuals, they're a good football team, and they have an amazing streak going on down there, and we're going to play them at their place, which is a very, very difficult task. But our guys are in good spirits, and we're looking forward to the opportunity. Questions?
On Saturday, you said you wanted to look back at that Tucker third down that you thought in the game was probably a first, but didn't get ruled that way. What did you see in the film of that?
I thought it was a really, really close call. I really did, and enough that I did not turn it into the officials. It was one of those, the way I feel one way, they feel another way, and it wasn't enough. When I turn in things to the officials in the 7 years I've been in this conference, I want it to be a win. And sometimes the coaches even get mad at me. I'm like, I'm not turning that in because it's right on the line. And I want us to have an amazing batting percentage that when we turn something in. It was right on the line. It was a 50-50.
You guys that had that false start penalty right afterwards that pushed you back. I mean, in the grand scheme of the game, how much do you think that drive being kind of killed and stopped dead there had an impact? Do you think it had a big impact at all?
Again, one play doesn't make a game, one drive doesn't make a game. We had a bunch of drives that could have been different, but we liked the outcome of the game with all the drives that we had. If you're looking for something that you guys want to go back and look into that game about, go back into the second half and count how many times NC State and Syracuse had the ball in the second half, and then go back and check all the other games. It was amazing, and they were doing some things, we were doing some things, but it was a heck of a chess match when it comes to time of possession in the second half.
Brett? Coach, you've been home for a while here. I wonder what the process is like to not only ramp it back up to go on the road, but to go into an environment like Death Valley.
Well, it's going to be fun. This is what all these young men come in to play, this opportunity. You're going into Death Valley with this university. I've gone to two of them. And they're both impressive places to play. Have not had any success, but there's a lot of coaches that haven't had success at those places when they're going in there to play. But we're looking forward to the opportunity. We even hear it's homecoming.
There's been some noticeable improvement this year in DJ Uyongale's game. I'm wondering what you've seen watching him on film.
Totally agree with your statement. I think he is much more improved. Their offense has changed dramatically based off of his improvement, and it's a testament to him. Had an opportunity to meet him, obviously, in ACC Media Day. He's a fine young man, a huge person, by the way, and but he's a good spirit, good person, and I'm glad for his success.
Kate?
Hey, Coach, when you look at Garrett Schrader's progression from last year to this year, what's the biggest differences that you've seen in him?
I think he's more confident. He's more comfortable with what's going on. I think he's more in line with Coach and I and what's going on with the offense. And then I think he has a fantastic feel for the guys that are around him. A quarterback is a point guard. His job is to make sure everybody else is better. It's not for him to go out there and score 50 points by himself. That's not what good point guards do, unless that is necessary. But I think he's done a fabulous job over the summer of just knowing what guys can and can't do, and then giving them opportunities to do that when they're on the football field.
Connor, then Emily.
What does Garrett need to do to mitigate interceptions against Clemson?
To litigate? Mitigate?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That's a tricky question. When you look at his interception, the touchdown ratio, I believe it's 4-1, which is outstanding. Unless I'm wrong, you can check the analytics on it. If you're 2-1, people consider you a good quarterback. If you're 2-1 interceptions to touchdown passes to interceptions. So last time I checked, Schrader's 4-1. So to me, this is not a situation where I think that he goes out and throws interceptions. I think it's just the opposite. It's unusual for him to throw interceptions.
Sticking on Schrader here on that third down throw to Damian Alford, the 3rd and 22
Gotcha.
for 34 yards or whatever, he was just barely behind the line of scrimmage. Does that speak to like his awareness of kind of the field and what's going on around him, or was that maybe just luck? Did he give you any insight on that?
Again, I think that people who are normally extremely lucky are people who are normally extremely prepared. And I think he was extremely prepared and maybe a little lucky.
Coach, Kayvon Darden had a big sack at the end of the game on Saturday. He doesn't seem like he's the biggest guy on the line by any means. What have you seen from him? What does he bring?
He's bigger than all the guys in here. you know, don't get caught up in the package. Kayvon, when you look, you may go, but then when you watch him on tape, you go, So don't get caught up in the package. He's not that tall, but he has a lot of body weight. His arms are not that long, but he's extremely quick. So he's quick for the punch, okay? Short arms, quick punch, fantastic quickness, and he's a very, very heady player. He knows what's going on. He does a lot of study behind the scenes, which allows him to make up for some of the physical things that you guys see. He turns into a good football player for us. Again, I can still remember when he earned that scholarship. He was on that seat, 4 seats behind you, second one from the right. And this place went wild. It was not given. It was definitely earned in his situation.
You know, you played these guys 6 times. 3 of the games were really close. 3 of the games weren't. Is there a common thread or theme from those games that were close that, you know, things you guys did well that made it a fourth quarter game and gave you an opportunity to win?
You know, I really don't know, Steve. It's a fabulous question. I think our guys like playing them. It's, you know, whatever that means. They know all the eyes are on them. Now they're really, really good. And you need to have some luck when you're playing them because they're exceptional. But I just think that they enjoy playing them.
Samantha, then Michael.
Coach, all last week we told fans, you know.
Samantha, you got that. It echoes. I can barely understand what you're saying.
I'll speak up. All last week we told fans to pack the dome, and they sold it out. I want to know what your message would be to all those fans who showed out and packed the dome to support this team.
You know, first of all, I hope everybody got home safely, and I hope that no one got hurt jumping and rushing the football field. But we couldn't have done it without them. Back 7 years ago when I wanted to come here, one of the advantages of this institution is home games in that dome. And when it is filled like that, it is a presence. It is a true 12th man. You know, I've been in stadiums where your 12th man is not a 12th man, okay? I can tell you, College Station, Texas, where this all originated at, that is a true 12th man. The Seattle Seahawks in the NFL, that is a true 12th man. The Dome, the JMA in Syracuse University, that is a true 12th man.
Coach, on that same note, it really got loud this weekend, over 120 decibels at times. What was having that crowd noise like for the defense? It's
bad on my voice. That's what it is. You're trying to communicate with all your coaches. You know, it's pleasure. It was fun. You know, I saw Coach Anai afterwards, Coach Beck, Coach Johnson, Coach Legashevsky, and I was looking at them, and they kind of had that smirk that you have on your face right now. And I didn't hit them with it. I didn't, because I'm older and I wouldn't do that. But I was really thinking, I told you so. I told you. It was exciting. It was fun to hear the noise level.
A quick follow-up. Does having that noise advantage on your side prepare you at all for going into a very hostile environment next week at Clemson?
It doesn't. It's exactly the reverse. That's the tough thing, because we're loud when their offense is out there, okay? And our defense is cool operating like that. When we're out there in the JMA, we really don't want any noise, so our offense can operate without the noise. So this will be the first opportunity for our offense to operate the way other people's offenses operate in the JMA.
Coach, this was a game where Mikel, Garrett, Deuce, a number of key guys had to leave the field. What impressed you the most about the second level guys, people come in making plays that had to.
We've changed our style of practice, and I don't want to give too much out, but we are really running through a lot of bodies on the defensive side. Not running through. I mean, we are really practicing a lot of bodies on the defensive side of the ball during the week. And those guys in those practices, they're getting real game-like type reps to give them an opportunity to be ready in the game. And I think that us going deeper in the depth chart and practices, getting people ready, working overtime to get a lot of people ready has really helped us in some of those situations with those guys stepping in and performing at an adequate level for us.
Emily, then Kate again.
Kind of in that vein, you mentioned the time of possession in the second half earlier. There was that 9-minute, 30-second NC State drive. Like, how do you keep guys ready to stay on the field that long? Because that's way longer than you typically have one side of the ball on the field.
You can. It was like you were playing one of the military schools. It was like you were playing Navy or Army, and that's how those programs do it. They shorten the game, and they try to play absolutely perfect football, and then you can't blink and you can't mess up. You saw some of those drives, especially when you're playing with this, a lot of the same defensive guys. A lot of those guys were just cramping up, and you're like, oh, well, they're not in shape. It's exactly the opposite. They are expending enormous amounts of energy, full speed, 5 to 6 second snaps of full speed and physicalness. And when you look at the game, there really wasn't a lot of plays. There was only 66 plays, but the intensity of those plays and it being run play after run play after running play, you can't, there's no way you can catch your breath on a running play. On pass plays, you can pass rush and guys down there. There's a pause in the action. When the ball is here and then all of a sudden the ball is over there and you know it's a run, it's a go, daddy, go. And you got to get there, and everybody's trying to prevent you from getting there, and there's a lot of physicality in between here and there. So it's a little bit different.
I know you said you weren't going to give an update.
I'm not.
Deion Lowry went straight to the locker room, hold an arm to his side. How is he?
He eats well.
Coach, there are 131 college football teams. 9 are undefeated at this point in the season. How does it feel to be one of those 9 right now?
I was explaining it to the players on Sunday. I said it's really rare, and I don't know. I've been in it for a little bit, and this is only, I want to say, I may not be right, but I want to say this is only the 3rd team that's got to 6-0. Now, I haven't been at some of those schools that you guys read about in the paper all the time, but I've been at good schools. But this is the 3rd time that we've been this deep in over 3 decades. So it's rare. You should cherish it. You should understand this moment and not let it just go past you. You might want to slow down and make sure you get it. And I don't know what's going to happen in the cards, Sunday. But right now, it's something that you should look at and you should be proud of.
Coach, how would you describe Coach and I's coaching style and his personality?
Like a grandpa. I really like it. I've never seen a guy be so eloquent with words and yet maybe telling you that, Connor, that you're not really good at your job. But doing it in such a nice way that you're not bad, and then you want to come back and work for him. And that's what I mean by the grandpa thing. He has a certain way with him, which really excites me.
How does his background as an offensive lineman and coaching O-line for a number of years really help in learning the new offense, and especially working with those O-line guys on the offense?
You talk about, people talk about quarterbacks knowing the offense better than anybody else. Coach and I played center at BYU. I believe his position coach was Andy Reid. You can check the books on it. But back in the day, BYU was one of the cutting edges of throwing the football early when everybody else was still running it. And Andy Reid was one of the guys that was doing that stuff. So he's got fantastic pedigree. You go back through his history. He's been around Rodriguez, Coach Tomey. He's been around some innovative people doing some outstanding things.
Clemson defensive lineman Brian Bresci played in his first game back against Florida State after his sister died from cancer. When there are moments like that that are bigger than sports, how do you tell that to your team leading into a game against that team? I saw that story. I want to say it was on SportsCenter or ESPN. I saw that story, and
you know, my prayers go out to their family and my heart goes out to them. But it also makes me think about our Ohana here, and I don't, you know, we've had, well, this guy, the guy that gave me this jacket, Floyd Little, you know, when before COVID, he was with us. You know, after COVID, he's not. And we have numerous stories as well on this football team of parents and loved ones in the last 4 years are no longer with us. And you know, we all have those same feelings. It's bigger than football. We understand that, but we also know how much in our healing process that football helps us heal. And I'm sure that his first thing probably was to get back on the football field and get around his family. And you know, we wish him nothing but the best in his healing process.
When you think back to the meeting at Clemson back in 2018, it felt like you guys had it early in the fourth quarter and then it just kind of slipped away. What can you kind of take from that and just kind of going off of that? What makes Clemson such a difficult place to play?
What do you mean slipped away early in the fourth quarter? Slipped away with 3 minutes left in the game. We had the lead to 3 minutes left in the game.
Late in the fourth quarter.
I'm just messing with you. Now I can't think of the question. Ask me the question again.
Just specifically thinking back to that game, what went wrong, I guess, in those last few minutes? And then what can you take from that and just kind of going off of that, what makes Clemson so challenging?
Clemson is a championship team. I mean, those guys aren't going to give up. I mean, the game's not over until the game is over. You know, so what? We had a lead and there was 3 minutes left in the game, and you know, and they were behind and they needed a touchdown, and they went down and got a touchdown and put themselves back up. I'm trying to think of what ended up with that team. I know that team went to the playoffs. I just can't remember if it was a championship team for them or not. But you're talking about guys that constantly win 10 games yearly. One of the top coaches in college football, one of the top programs in college football, and one of the top conferences in college football. So to be able to beat them at their place, I think, I don't know, what is it, 37 in a row or 30, something to that effect, is obviously a very, very difficult task for a lot of coaches and a lot of programs that have went down there and not had any success.
Coach, I was wondering, are you wearing Floyd's jacket for a specific purpose today? Or just
Absolutely, I was actually thinking of Steve, because Floyd gave me 2 jackets. He gave me he gave me a Syracuse Letterman jacket and gave me a story behind it. The one I was wearing at a high school football game. I don't believe I'm allowed to say the game because of NC2A rules, but Steve knows. And then he gave me this one. And you know, just with all the stuff that was going on at halftime and having an opportunity on Friday to meet the Littles and see Jim Brown's son and daughter and the Davises and all the Davises that were there, and have an opportunity to meet all of them for the very first time. Once again, it just makes you reflect on all the great people that have been here, all the great people that have wore the number 44. I had text messages this week with Rob Conrad, the last person that's wore 44. And I just don't think sometimes the young people really understand the whole legacy and the message, the history of the school, the things that it's done as far as things differently than other people back in the 50s. This school was doing things differently in the 50s than other people. It was doing things differently than people in the 60s. And I'm really proud of the history of this school, even though I didn't go here. But I did have 2 daughters that graduated from here with degrees. But my father was really proud of some of the people that went through this school, and he was constantly talking to me about Syracuse graduates. So yeah, I wore this jacket because of Floyd, and I'm thinking about him a little bit.
On that note, Coach, I was talking to Art Jones a little bit last week, and he mentioned he got a chance to talk to the team. What's that process like? Does that happen organically? Do you invite former players back? Like, where are you at with kind of former players sending a message?
You know, I've already told Deion Johnson, our liaison, I said, we're ready for the guys to come back. I told you when I first came here, I said, let me have some time with these guys. And I've been here some time, but the door is open for those guys to come back. Now it has to be coordinated. It has to go through Deion. But with Art's situation, I know somebody, I know Art, but I know somebody in the community that really knows Art, and I really wanted Art to talk to this defense. And I've always admired Art, how he went through his professionally, how he's gone through things. Him coming back to Syracuse after getting done, he can live anywhere he wants in the United States of America, but he just, he wants to live here in Syracuse. And I wanted them to see somebody had been there in the pros, graduated from Syracuse, went to the pros, came back, and what that pride, what that esprit de corps means when you're an ex-Orange. So Art did a great job. He was standing right here, and I can still visualize and think about some of the things he said, and he was point on. And I'm excited that he did that, and we'll be looking for more people in the future.
Time for two more. We'll start with Michael in front.
Circling back to the story of 44, obviously you were in the locker room at halftime, but did you get a chance to see the tribute that they gave those three players?
I saw some of it on the TV channel stuff, Channel 9, Channel 3, I believe Channel 5 is 3, I don't know, I'm still trying to figure that one out. But yeah, I watched the news, I got to see it on the news, I couldn't see it, I was busy at halftime, but I do go back and watch that stuff.
Last question, right?
Hi, Coach. With the recent success that Syracuse football has had, there's been a lot of talk about Syracuse football program in the state of Hawaii, and I was just wondering how it feels to have that ohana that's so far away from Syracuse featuring on the team currently that you're working at, and how it affects your ties with the state going forward.
I was born in Honolulu, Tripler Army Hospital. It's a big, giant pink hospital. When you're driving into Waikiki, it's on the left side, and the Aloha Stadium used to be on the right side, but now it's shut down. And had an opportunity to go back to school at the University of Hawaii. I love the islands. The islands are a part of me. When you talk about Robert and I being from Hawaii, and what that means for him, us having some Hawaii players on the team. And the thing that I learned the most about that state is, they show love a different way. They show that affection. It's a little bit different than the state of New York when I've driven in New York City and had some people do some things to my cars that I thought was illegal as they waved at me and went by. But it's just a different feeling. And I wanted to take that feeling everywhere that I went after I left there. And hopefully this football team has a little bit of that feeling inside of them. It's a great question. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you, Coach.